extraordinary. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think there's a couple of things. One is that I felt that, at least as to some of the defendants, the issue of the object of the conspiracy was problematic for the government. So the government, had to prove that somebody threatened or was intending to threaten employees of the government. And the judge, I thought, gave us an extraordinarily broad ability to bring in state-of-mind evidence. So, for example, with Mr. Medenbach, I was able to take him through an extensive history of protest and these kinds of things in order to show that that's what his intent was. And so I think that what you saw was a number of defendants who each had their own viewpoints, were each there for their own reasons, and as a result, it was difficult to prove a conspiracy. When a bunch of people are trafficking in drugs, it's easy to say they all have the same objective. But in a case like this, where there isn't that underlying obvious self-interest that informs the conspiracy, you've got to ask yourself, well, is it then really a conspiracy? And I think that's probably where the government fell short. And I think we were also fortunate because we had jurors from outside of the Portland area and people who could understand that the presence of firearms at the refuge was not necessarily a threat. People that could understand that in Harney County, when you leave your house, you leave with your guns. And so those guns were part of an expression of their lawful intent. And so I think that's really what it came down to. But beyond that, I'm guessing. I'm just extraordinarily pleased to have been able to participate in this. It's an amazing case.
And then the theft of the government trust. What do you think played a part there? That he was gonna...
Listen, I mean, if I wanted to say to you that I defended the case with some magnificent oratory, I'd say I fell short. I think that what it came down to is that the federal theft statute has this interesting intent requirement. And it's not simply sufficient that you take something that doesn't belong to you. It requires you to take something with the intent to deprive somebody else of using it. And so I think the jury forgave him that borrowing based on the fact that the refuge was closed. There was no evidence anyone else was using it. He did no damage to it. And so, but again, I don't. For all I know, they just didn't like the government.
And what do you think about the ending with Marcus, arguing for Ammon to be released and be able to walk out of court?
Well, I think that first of all, Marcus Mumford is an extraordinary advocate and a remarkable lawyer, and the level of energy that he has put out over the course of this 6 weeks, I think, has just left him empty. And so I think today was one of those days where, unfortunately, he let his passion and desire and belief in his client overcome his better judgment. Because there's nothing Anna Brown can do about a detainer from Nevada, nothing. And he has no right to have that issue litigated here. All that can happen is for Ammon Bundy to be transported in the normal course down in Nevada, where a release hearing could be held. But yeah, it can't be done here. And so I'm disappointed that Marcus isn't celebrating with the rest of us, because he is a really remarkable lawyer and person.